Hi my friends, it's Carrie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of Copic coloring for you all today using this stamp set from Neat and Tangled called Koalifications. It is so super cute. It's one of my favorites that Neat and Tangled has released recently, so I thought I would go ahead and stamp him out today for a little bit of a Valentine card. So I'm going to start off with my warm grays here. I wanted to color him in warm grays. And I'm going to speed up the video just a little bit because obviously it took me a little bit to color this little cutie. So I am going to speed it up just a little bit. And I'm going to start off with my W3 and then I'm going to move on to the W5 and then I'm going to move on to the E40 from that. So when I do my Copic coloring, I don't do any type of, I try to do just a little bit of shading obviously with the Copics because obviously they are so well made to help you blend colors. So even if you're not really all that good, which I don't think I am, but even if you're not all that good, the Copic markers really blend so well together, and it really does make it look like you know what you're doing is what I always say. But I absolutely love this image, and I have been enjoying seeing on social media all the different variations that everybody has been coloring him in. And so I thought this is my version of coloring this little cutie in. So again, using the W3, going to the W5, and then moving on to the E40. I wanted to keep the middle of his body, or more of his face, I guess, on the lighter side because I wanted to have just a little bit of a, I guess, if you do light source, I really don't, I guess. Maybe I do, I don't know. But my light source for his face, at least, was kind of in the middle. So that's why I kept it a little bit lighter in the middle. For the rest of his body, I'm just kind of adding a little bit of shadows where, you know, kind of the creases around his legs, at the end of his legs, his little hands, and around the banner there, up against his neck would be the little darkest, obviously, because there would be a shadow under there. And then just blending that out, and then going back over all with the E40, and that really does blend all three of the colors really well together. So I'm now going to move on to the banner. I wanted a little bit of a bright color for the banner, just something a little different. So I'm using G02 and then YG41, and just kind of creating where obviously there's the curves in the banner is where I'm putting my darkest color, creating that extra look to it to where it's curving, and that will just give a little bit of extra dimension that way too. So I'm going to blend that out with the YG41 and then going back with the G2 and then blending them both together. So sometimes whenever you're coloring, I have found that sometimes you don't have to have 3 colors. You can just get away with 2. And in this instance I did. I just used the 2 colors and it worked out just fine. So I have completed obviously the coloring of him, and later on I'm going to color in some hearts. So that's why I've got the hearts and the colors that I use listed above. But for now I'm going to put my image into my Misty here, my mini Misty tool, and stamp out my sentiment to a quality friend. And I love how these sentiments are curved, so there's no guesswork in whether or not they will fit in that banner because they've already done the curving for you. I went ahead and took the coordinating die and die cut that off camera. And now I'm going to work on a little bit of a background here. So I've got this stencil from My Favorite Things. And I'm going to also use some ink from Simon Says Stamp. I'm going to go ahead and just put down some plain white copy paper here to keep my surface from getting too inky. And then, so I'm going to place my stencil down onto my work surface. And I didn't really put it, I think at the bottom I put a little bit of low tack tape. But for the most part, I just kind of held it with my hand and to do this to the stenciling because I really didn't do a whole lot. I started off with the really a light hand for this. I am using, I believe this is Hot Lips. Hot Lips? Yeah, Hot Lips ink from Simon Says Stamp. And I thought this would be something different for the brick background. And obviously it will go with the little bit of a Valentine theme. That's what I'm creating here. But I wanted to create a card for a Valentine for a lovely friend in your life. And so obviously we're making Valentine's cards for the ones that we love, as far as our spouses and, you know, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. But I also wanted to create a card for the friends that we love in our life too. So, and I have several of those in my life, to probably just like y'all do. So I'm just going to go ahead and just use a light hand toward the outer edge of where am I inking, and then I'm going to really intensify that ink closer to where I die cut this image out. I also die cut this panel down using a My Favorite Things scalloped stitched rectangle. Now I'm going to take those hearts that are from this stamp set, and I'm going to stamp out 3 different ones. And then taking my 2 markers, or Copic markers that I chose, I'm going to use red colors, the R39 and R29. And since these hearts are relatively small in size, you really don't need 3 colors because the images are so small. So the 2 colors that you will be using will be just fine for if you want to give a little bit of shading to these images. You don't really necessarily need 3 colors if you didn't have 3 to use. So I'm just kind of going along and getting that color just laid down and getting these nice and bold and red, and it really does pop off that background. You can see that obviously the contrast between the background that I sponged on and those red hearts, but it also looks like it's a part of the background too, if you know what I mean. So now I'm going to go ahead and start assembling my card. I've got a piece of this black and white striped pattern paper from My Favorite Things, and this is the first time I'm using it, but I've been wanting to use it so badly, and I haven't really had a chance to use it until this card. I also die cut a piece of cardstock, the Pure Poppy cardstock from Paper Tray Ink, and I die cut that with an Avery L die that creates this. It's a little bit of a skinnier panel, but it allows me to show off my pattern paper in the background. So now I'm going to start assembling the rest of my pieces here. I'm just going to use some liquid glue, and you're probably wondering why I die cut the piece. Well, I initially was going to not use it like this. I was just going to use the just the die cut piece and not the actual white cardstock, but as I was going along making this card, I changed my mind. So I really didn't need to die cut him out, but overall I think it still looks good, and you can kind of see that little pop of red from the side there, and I think it just adds the overall look to the card. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the same image on the inside of the card using some narwhal ink from Juan Fan. And then I'm going to take another one of the sentiments from the stamp set and use that same Some and Says stamp ink that I used earlier for the background and stamp out my sentiment, Free Hugs Given Daily. And I think this is just the most adorable stamp set. Absolutely love it. I want to create more of these cards using this little image. To add some embellishment to my hearts, I'm just using some stickles. This is the Stardust stickles. I don't usually use stickles all that much, but today it just went well with those hearts, I think, just to add a little bit of extra shine. And then I'm going to use my glossy accents to add some shine to my koala's nose. And that pretty much completes our card for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching my channel. I really do appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you on my next one. Bye-bye.